Hey, read through the word. Today is July 1st. Yes, that means we're 6 months done. 6 months to go. You've made it this far. Keep going. We've got this. All right. Today's lesson is called Back to the Future. I like that name. I'm going to explain why I named it that. I really like the old Back to the Future one. I really like that movie. My kids like it. I was an 80s girl. So, but I want you to, I think that idea, looking back to inform our future, really explains the books of 1st and 2nd Chronicles. And I might have already done an overview, and I forgot. I usually do. It's like Wendy says, I really like the way you do an overview of a book. It helps us understand it. But I think right here where we are right now, even if we have explained it before, we're going to explain it again because I think it helps us see what's going on. And I want us to hold on. And I will probably hit this again when, let's see. We're at the fall of Assyria now. We need Israel to fall. A fall of Israel by Assyria. We need Judah to fall by Babylon. Then we need 70 years of exile. And then we'll come back. And then I'll remind you again. And then I'll remind you one more time probably about this. But I picked for my verses today were just 2nd Chronicles 31 through 4. And it says, when the festival ended, the Israelites who attended went to the towns of Judah, Benjamin, Ephraim, and Manasseh, and they smashed all the sacred pillars, cut down the Asherah poles, removed the pagan shrines and altars, and after this, the Israelites returned to their own towns and homes. Hezekiah then organized the priests and Levites into divisions to offer the burnt offerings and peace offerings and worship and give thanks and praise to the Lord to the gates of the temple. The king also made personal contributions of animals for the daily and morning and evening burnt offerings, the weekly Sabbath festivals, and the monthly new moon festivals, and the annual festivals as prescribed in the law of the Lord. In addition, he required the people in Jerusalem to bring a portion of their goods to the priests and the Levites so they could devote themselves fully to the law of the Lord. And I think in 2022, I did a big lesson on Hezekiah. Even talked about Hezekiah's tunnel, I believed. But I want us to look at the books of 1st and 2nd Chronicles. I want to explain them to you for a second, but then I want to narrow in and see what exactly is going on here. So, with the idea of back to the future, looking back to look forward with the book of 1st and 2nd Chronicles in their organization and what's going on. So the way these books are retelling the same stories, which is why you see, like, we'll read something from maybe 2nd Kings and then you're in 2nd Chronicles, or maybe we were back in 2nd Samuel and we were in 1st Chronicles, or so it was very back and forth, and this explains to you why it's back and forth, but you're retelling the same stories again with an additional purpose, the purpose of looking back to look forward, back to the future. We've got additional content. So, like, you get some more details in the Chronicles books than you have in the others with a purpose. There is a point. We're proving a point here. So we see this holy retelling to remember thing. Moses does it. Asaph does it with Psalm 78. He tells all the history up to David to inform worship. You'll see it when we get to the New Testament, people retelling history to help you frame things in the future. So this is something you see a lot in Scripture. But in the book of First Chronicles, like chapters 1 through 9 are a genealogy, which is why we have read First Chronicles, you read all the way back with Adam, because we talk about Adam. Like chapter 1. So 1 through 9 is just the genealogies. Because we're looking back to look to the future. So hold on to that. I'm going to go through that, and then we're going to answer the 5 W's, which is, my best way. We're going to just go back to our hermeneutics, direct, easy hermeneutics. We're going to look at the text and see what the text is telling us, and to inform what God was saying to the original audience. So, the genealogies in chapters 1 through 9. And then the story of David is in 1 Chronicles chapters 10 through 25. And then you hear David and Solomon together in those last few chapters of 1 Chronicles 26 through 29. Then when you get to 2 Chronicles, you get the story. Chapters 1 through 9 are the story, and all of this is in your notes, of Solomon. That is the same information, but with more details that have been told 2 Samuel and in 1 Kings. But then in chapters 10 through 35 of 2 Chronicles, you get all the stories of the kings, but only the story of the kings from Judah, from the southern kingdom. Nothing about Israel. And then in the return of the exiles and King Cyrus of Persia in chapter 36. So what is going on? Now, it's really the who. So the number one question when you're looking at a text, you need to ask first is, who was God speaking to in this book originally? Who was this written to? So I always say, let's answer the who, what, when, where, and why questions with this. So who? This book, the books of 1st and 2nd Chronicles, were originally written to those who are returning, the people from Judah who are returning from exile back to their land. When Babylon takes over Judah and sends them into exile down in Babylon, then King Cyrus comes and it becomes Persia, and they come back. They're coming back to the land. And this is written to them to inform them, to tell them about their past, to go back and look, to inform their future because of what they're dealing with right now. What he's telling them, this story of what has happened to their people. He tells us, actually, it's the story of a covenant-keeping God, because that's why it only holds on to the, remember, eternal kingdom, eternal throne, eternal king. So the Davidic covenant, because that's who these people are. They are the descendants of Judah coming back to the land. They need to know their story. And so 1st and 2nd Chronicles, if you look at it, it doesn't tell the bad stuff. It just tells the good stuff, because it's trying to help these people see this is who. Now, look at these good traits in these kings. We're going to see those in another king. Be looking. Look back to look forward, back to the future. When? After the return, where? They will be the people who are in Judah. And they have come back. So God is the covenant people of God, the people, covenant coming back to the land that they were kicked out of. Now they're coming back to the land, and they're rebuilding a temple. So they've got the land, they got the people, they got the temple. Where's the king? Where's this good king? What's he going to look like? How do we know what he's going to look like? Well, let's look back at all the good things these kings, they've been a type of this king that's coming. So that's the purpose of these books, is to look back, to look forward, to look back at what happened in order to look forward to who is coming. Because the king is coming. And this book is to prepare the hearts of the people for that king. And once this book shuts and those people are in that land, it's going to be 400 years before we hear again. But there is a purpose to everything. The whole purpose of the 1st and 2nd Chronicles is to get a people ready for King Jesus, because he's coming. We'll see you next time on Read Through the Word.